Hello, how you going? Alright, so this week I want to talk about the concept of social construction. What does it mean? Well, the concept of social construction refers to the idea that a society is constructed by those who live inside it. That is, the idea that we as individuals living inside a society, like the Australian society, actually help shape the way it is. But it's not just us individuals. We can actually go back to our parents and our grandparents and our forefathers and look at how they help shape society. So there's nothing natural or innate about the shape of society. It's actually been constructed by the people living inside it. Seems like common sense. Well, it does in a way, doesn't it? But actually, it's not actually accepted wisdom all the time. Some people actually believe that our society is actually predetermined to head into a different direction. How so? Let's begin by answering it in this way. If you think about it, there's all these ideas about what it is to have human nature. So, for example, if we were studying economics, we'd look at human nature as being based around greed and be based around meeting our own needs. There'd be nothing to look at the way that we're compassionate human beings that have desires for actually other aspects of life apart from actually making money. So if that's your idea of human nature, then the thing is that you believe that society is always destined to go into one way. That is, destined to actually always compete, always fight for resources, always try and be based around winners and losers and who gets the most. But recently, we've actually seen a number of events that show us that actually there's more to life than simply competition. There's actually cooperation, there's compassion, there's other things that drive us. So what else are we driven by? Well, my little friend, that's a very good question. And actually, we're driven by lots of things. There's lots of things about society, lots of aspects of society that drive us. Actually, greed does play a way. And human nature sometimes is about being selfish. But there's actually other aspects of human nature that are shaped by those around us. We're shaped by our religion, our culture, our experiences, our parents, our friends, things that we see on TV, things that we read, amazing lecturers, of course, and characters like SpongeBob. They actually shape the way we think and see the world. So if there's no such thing as human nature, that means the shape that society takes is actually quite complex, and we can't actually predict the way it goes, which brings us to the idea of determinism. I ran out of apples this week, so I brought a pear. Yum, 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 yum. Determinism? Yeah, determinism. Determinism is this concept that society actually is predetermined to go in a certain direction. A concept such as determinism is the idea of progress, that societies are always expected to progress in a certain path. Are we all expected to progress down a certain path? Actually, no, we're not. Because if you think about it, if society is actually constructed by us, we make decisions that actually shape which path we're going to take. It could take us that way, it could take us that way, it could take us that way. Now, I know what you're both thinking. You're both thinking that I need to give you a couple of examples for this to make sense. Am I correct? Of course I'm correct. So one example is the wheel. Think about the wheel. Humans actually made that shape to actually move things, and the shape actually changed the whole structure of society. Another example is a mobile phone. And if you think about mobile phones, especially new generation phones like the iPhone, it actually changed the way a society is shaped. You can actually check your emails, do your work while you're lying on the beach. That totally alters the way that our society actually functions. There's no longer having to go into the office. Like, for example, when I answer one of your emails, I might be actually lying on Coogee Beach rather than sitting in my office. But there are other things as well that we need to think about as being socially constructed. For example, the relationships between men and women and the way that men and women are expected to act in our society. Think about it, right? When two guys walk up to each other, like this, and they know each other, one shakes the other's hand, they grab it like this, and they go, how you going, how you going, how you going, footy, 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 footy. Now when two women do this, they walk up and they go, hello, hello, how you going? Cuddle, cuddle, cuddle. Okay, men actually do that. Now that's not a natural or innate process. That's something that's actually been constructed over years about the way that we're expected to greet each other. Are you guys convinced? Of course you are, because it makes sense, doesn't it? So, to finish off today's little podcast about social construction, I just want to sum up the lessons learned. The first lesson is that we shape society, and society takes a shape that we actually decide. The second lesson is, if we shape it, we can change it. We can identify the parts of society we don't like. And that's happened in history lots of time. For example, it used to be kind of natural and normal to be seen to actually have a slave. We don't do that anymore. The third thing is that we humans are actually quite complex, and there's no one thing that drives us. We're not just humanly, naturally greedy or self-interested. There's lots and lots of things that actually drive who we are and the way that and who we become, and that actually explains how we shape society. The fourth thing is that we shouldn't fall into a trap to believe that society goes down a predetermined path. That's a concept known as determinism, and I think it's a concept we need to avoid. So, thanks for joining me and my friends today. I hope this lesson made sense. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all next week. Bye now.